Welcome to the EVnSteven Podcast. I'm David Williston. I'm the founder of the EVnSteven app, and I'm here with Tom Yount today, and we're going to talk with him about his experiences with the app. And Tom, you're from the San Diego area, I understand?
Yes, I'm in San Diego, and I have a second home in Palm Springs. It's about 2 hours away.
Okay. All right. And so you found EVnSteven through a post on Facebook, is that right?
I'm pretty sure that's where it was.
Yeah.
I thought, oh, this is for me. I live in a small six-unit condominium where we all know each other, and it's an outlet right by my parking spot, and it's so tempting now that I have an electric vehicle. But now I can use it with good conscience and be accountable.
At basically no cost.
Exactly.
How's the app working for you?
The app is working fine for me. What happens with me is when I'm in Palm Springs, I have my own house and my own solar, and I just plug in the car level 1. No problem. It's just mine. The issue is here in San Diego, as I told you, where I live in a 6-unit condominium building, and that seems to be working fine. I'm still managing it. You know, I'm the HOA and the client, if you will. And I use it to top off the car before I go on a trip. I have free Electrify America charging with the Hyundai for 2 years. And there are a couple spots around here where I can usually, do the big charging after I've gone from here to LA or Palm Springs or whatever. Yeah. So I'm using it maybe 3 or 4 times a month. I see, or if I have a hard time finding a charger, then I'll just plug in here. It's working fine. As far as I can see, it's just you have the sort of challenge is it's a parallel system. They're not really connected. My car's plugged in charging is not really related to the app. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's right. That was intentional.
Yeah.
So we could support unmetered outlets that are not being utilized because of one reason or another. Either somebody doesn't want to go to the trouble of installing a meter, or they can't afford it, or they don't.
Right.
There's bureaucratic delays in getting something like that done.
Yeah.
And they're just sitting there. They should be used.
Exactly. And so I'm lucky that I have a situation where the other owners here are very willing to try something. And I think it's going to work out just fine. It'll probably be an honor system where they don't like getting a lot of checks. So I'll write a check every 6 months that totals the bills. Under billing, I'm able to access all the previous unpaid bills, so that's perfect.
That's great. So you were able to just get the approval almost instantly, and then get up and running within it seemed like a couple of days.
Yeah, because they just all threw it back to me to do it.
Yeah.
So I'm playing both sides right now.
Perfect.
And
and why not?
Trying to be as close. It's the only. I thought when I set the time, I would tell it when to stop at a certain time. It doesn't stop the charge. It only stops the meter running.
Yeah,
when I set the phone, I say I'm going to charge for 8 hours. I have to keep reminding myself that they're not related. They're related. They're not connected.
So you get a reminder at the time you estimated that you'd be finished, and then
and I didn't think I realized that at some point, and I thought I set the reminder, but I'm not sure I got it. But I might have I turned my phone off when I take a nap or something, and sometimes I forget to turn it on. So that's probably what happened.
So do you intentionally charge your vehicle overnight to avoid the more costly electricity?
For me, when I need to charge, it's worth it to me, whatever I need to pay.
Okay.
To sort of top up the car so I'm comfortable driving.
Yeah.
For a couple hours or whatever.
All right.
With the air conditioner on fully and all that, because it's hot out here.
So what about the time of day rate? Did you have any challenges setting those up?
No, I just went to an electric bill.
Yeah.
And that's how I found it. No, it was once I got the hang of it, I had to do 4 different sections because it starts at midnight and goes to midnight. It came in 4 parts. It was easy enough to do.
You're San Diego Gas and Electric, is that right?
Correct.
So they do 4 rates. It'd be peak, off-peak, mid-peak, and then another...
I think there's a nighttime rate, off-peak, is peak, and mid-peak. Mid-peak, I think, is the like before 4 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
and after 9 p.m.
Yeah. Yeah, there's well they've got so off peak, on peak. Wait a minute. They've got a couple different pricing. They got what do they call it? Time of use DR1 pricing, DR2 pricing. So I'm not sure which one you're on, but it looks like super off peak, super off peak 2, and then another off peak, and then an on peak, and then an off peak. So they've actually got 6 in some of these configurations. And they're not that different in
Right.
percentage wise.
Right. And the frame that our HOA treasurer said, this is a good way of estimating how much I'm using. That's what you've created. It's a really good way of estimating. And so, there's a little buzz on either end when it starts and stops, but close enough. And I think what I'm going to do is just add on 10% for any of those gray areas when I pay kind of settle with the HOA. That's just me.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's fair, and it's EVnSteven, right?
Yeah, very good.
Close enough. So we have a customer up here in British Columbia that plugs her vehicle in the evening around 6 or 7 whenever she gets home. But the vehicle doesn't start charging until midnight because it's programmed to do so. And then it'll stop charging at 8 in the morning. So she's only consuming power off peak. I think that's what she's trying to achieve. And so she'll check in at 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock. Her vehicle's plugged in at that time, but it's not actually charging. And then in the morning, she'll roll out of bed late, and it'll be 9 o'clock, and then she'll go down and unplug it and then check out. So she's got 4 or 5 hours on the beginning and 1.5 hour on the end. And she wanted an ability to make an adjustment after the fact. And we've just implemented that.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Because that was kind of a question, because if I get my car, I can set my car up like that too, to, start charging at midnight.
Yeah.
But let's say it reaches this 80%, which I want, when I'm in town, not traveling anywhere, at 3 p.m. and I've set it up, till 6. That's the issue that I was wondering about.
Yeah. So when you check out, there's now the option to make an adjustment to the start and stop times. And the original check-in and check-out times are preserved for the record. And then the adjustment times become the times that are used for the calculation of the cost. And there's also an option to include a reason for the adjustment, such as a forgotten checkout or a forgotten check-in or a delayed check-in or a custom reason.
Now, is that in the app or the new app? Did I see that you have a new app?
Yeah, there's a new version, and you have to enable that in your station. It's a toggle. If you go through and configure your station, it's now.
If I go to the app on my phone.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you go into your station, and then you can edit the station again, and it'll bring you to the stepper that goes through all the steps.
Edit the station. How do I edit the station? I'm on the station.
So you're at the station. There's a little icon on the bottom right of the station card. Looks like a right arrow.
At the bottom, where it says rates? Okay.
Yeah, and then you go edit station and then scroll down and you'll see checkout time adjustment. It's step number 6.
Checkout time adjustment. So I hit that?
Yeah, and then you can select the checkbox to allow adjustment.
Okay, and it was already selected.
It was. Okay, so it was already enabled. I think we did that for you, if I'm not mistaken. We must have. Okay, so now when you start a new session and then stop it, and you get the summary and the opportunity to review the details, there's a button at the bottom that says make adjustment.
Okay.
You'll see that on the next session.
Oh, perfect. Great. So I already have the latest version of the app.
Yeah, we actually force the upgrades. So if you're running an old version, it'll prompt you to update, and it won't let you use the old version.
Perfect.
So when you end the session, you'll get an opportunity to add a review, which is super helpful for us in the store. First, we ask you to rate the session based on stars, and if it's below a 3, then we send you to the feedback page where you can tell us what didn't work or what was wrong, because we want to know about it.
Yeah.
But if it's 4 or 5 stars, then awesome. If you could now add the stars in the store and write an optional review, that's going to help us. We're really we're really amazed that people are finding us. It was a huge speculation. We were just like, there must be people out there with the same situation that I had, because lots of people live in apartments or condos. There's lots of EVs. I mean, there's 160,000 EVs on the road in Vancouver. Like, it seems like every second car is a hybrid plug-in or an EV. So the people, they're out there.
I was trying to remember how I found you, but it was some, Facebook group I'm a part of that somebody mentioned you. And I thought, well, this is for me. This is that niche thing that I mean, it really makes a difference in my life that I'm able to do this.
And you recognized it right away when you saw it.
Yeah, I did. I was exposed to it.
Yeah.
And I think it would be harder if I were up against a bigger HOA or a bigger corporate landlord or something. It'd probably be a little more cumbersome, but my situation was perfect.
Yeah, and you're in a 6-unit building and everybody knows each other and you all trust each other and you're looking out for each other. And
Exactly.
That honor system makes perfect sense there.
And it is kind of an honor system, at least in one aspect of it. It is kind of to tell you when I charge.
If somebody's going to steal electricity, they're going to do it anyway. The plug is already there.
Yeah, we had a renter with a Tesla in here that kept plugging it in, and we kept saying you can't do that. He just kept plugging it in until he got caught, and then he'd unplug it. And we had no way of knowing how much.
There's a lot of that going on.
Oh, I'm sure. Sure. Well, I did it this weekend myself. Okay. I drove to LA for a big family event, and the Airbnb that we had a plug right by a 110 right by the parking spot or unit. And so I just plugged it in LA on Labor Day weekend. All the charging places were full. Everybody's moving around. So luckily I just 110'd it. I'm very comfortable with that.
Yeah, it's surprisingly effective. And it's that session, what was that, maybe $5?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's not a huge amount. It certainly does add up if you were doing it every day. But once in a while, I mean, nobody really misses it. Honor system is working for you.
Yes.
How can we reach people? What would you do?
Well, it was like I'm listening to a lot of podcasts just because I'm old and I'm trying to learn something new because I think it's good for my brain.
Sure is.
So I listen to a lot of podcasts about EVs and all this stuff. And like that one yesterday, they're talking, DC isn't the answer. It's getting people to plug in at home.
Yeah.
Is the real sort of silver bullet to the whole thing. Yeah, more DC chargers for people that are on road trips, but you don't need them for everyday stuff. And there are 110 outlets everywhere.
Yeah.
But like that podcast, they review stuff like that. I mean, they're talking about the big guys and the Rivians and the Lucids and all that stuff. But like the one I listened to yesterday that I told you about, the point was that we really need to flesh out the level 1, level 2 charging options that people might have.
Yeah.
So it seems kind of spot on, and that would be a good audience for a start. I'll try to do a post on a couple of the electric car groups I'm part of.
Okay.
And actually, at some point, I think some of these sort of bigger landlords or, that own an apartment building, corporate, whatever they are, it would be an advantage to them to be able to say you can plug in using this app, when trying to rent their spaces. But people are getting electric cars and they want to plug in.
The pressure's on for those buildings coming real soon. Yeah, I've been looking around at the buildings and there's usually 1 or 2 or 3 EVs in a 40-unit building as far as what I'm seeing here. But when that number gets up to 25-30%, those people are going to be really putting the pressure on.
Yeah.
And those property managers are not going to have the money to put level 2 in for everyone.
Right.
They're not going to have the capacity electrically to serve 40 vehicles at 40 amps each. They're going to have to do some kind of load balancing, which then involves more costs of equipment. And the whole thing just boils back to, well, why don't you just put 15 amp outlets in for everybody and everybody gets a breaker? And that's the cheapest way to go. And, in the cold climates up in Canada, people have to plug their cars in when the weather gets really cold. Otherwise, the oil thickens and they can't start their engines.
Right.
So this goes back decades. As a result, almost all outdoor parking stalls are energized in those regions. So those guys they're all pre-wired. Out on the coast, you'll be lucky to find 4 or 5 outlets in a 40-unit building.
Vast majority of my charging is level 1, both here and in Palm Springs, where I'm using solar electrons, but mostly level 1.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to install special equipment, even at either end. The 110 is fine.
How many miles do you drive on a daily basis?
Well, I'm retired, so it's trips to the gym or the beach or to Palm Springs. That's it. I think I've had my car since mid-May, and I've got 3,000 miles on it.
So you're a pretty light driver. So that makes perfect sense for you.
Yeah, it does. It really does.
Yeah. Tell me about the solar setup.
Well, I have 23 panels. They're enough to keep the house cool and run the pool. So I have 23 solar panels that I can see through my app that it produces excess, during the day, really, from 8 to 5, as long as the sun's up, which it mostly is all the time in Palm Springs. So I just plug in then, and if I really need to, like today when I traveled from Palm Springs, I charged overnight. I paid for the overnight electrons when they're cheap anyway. So
what's the distance?
It's about 130 miles.
So you just need a single charge for that.
Yeah. Today overnight I charged up to 100% on level 1, and I got here with 47%. So, and it's a hot day. I was running the air conditioner full blast, and I don't tell the highway patrol, but I don't baby the car.
Yeah. What did you say you're driving again?
Hyundai Ioniq 5.
Oh, that's a nice vehicle. I like that.
It's a very nice vehicle. I enjoy it all. I did have a Fisker Ocean, which, if you know anything about them, they're going bankrupt. And I was lucky to trade it in when I did.
Too bad.
Very lucky.
I wasn't aware of that.
But I'm very happy with the Ioniq and electric. And driving electric is something I'll never go back on. It's just wonderful.
Yeah, 100%. It's a game changer.
And your app makes it even better for me.
Thank you.
Because now I have solutions on both ends.
Great. All right. So I think I've got some good material here. It's the first time I've even attempted to do a podcast. I have no idea what the editing is going to be like. It's probably going to be a lot of fun.
Let me know when it's up.
Yeah.
If you need more, I'm open to it. I'm retired. Time.
So
I do have a question for you.
Yeah. Okay. Go ahead.
It's not clear to me. How do you guys make money?
Yeah. So each of the charging sessions is fueled by a token.
Correct.
And the tokens are purchased using the in-app purchasing mechanisms of either the Google Play Store or the Apple App Store. And the tokens are available in packs of 5, 15, and 30. And they're approximately 12 cents each. So So that's a good question. What do you think?
Somebody asked me that when I was telling them about the app.
Yeah.
And I remembered the tokens, but I think you gave me a bunch. So
yeah.
It's a brilliant, needed niche of the market for sure. Good concept.
That's good to hear.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Very healthy.
What did you do? What was your career?
When I retired, I was principal at Mission Bay High School in San Diego.
That must have been quite a blast.
I loved it. And my one big fear in life was I might get bored, and I was never bored.
With young people around? I mean, wow.
Young and old, and everybody with challenges. Bring it.
Wow.
It was all interesting, and at the end of the day, sometimes I felt like I made a difference in the world. So
I bet you did.
I loved it.
I bet you did. You sound like you would have been an awesome principal.
I like to think so.
I mean, not everybody's going to like the principal, but, that's reality, right?
Yeah, absolutely. You have to get that out of the way right at the get-go.
Indeed. All right, Tom, thank you so much for sharing with us today.
You're very welcome, and good luck, and happy to help.
All right. Take care and have a great week.
Okay. You too.
Bye for now.
Bye.
Okay, that was Tom Yount down in San Diego. He's one of our first users of EVnSteven, and just an absolute pleasure talking with him today. I'm looking forward to speaking to him again, and thank you for joining us on our first episode of the EVnSteven Podcast.